crashed, so I think he is
I'm
back.
back.
So you
I'm
are
back.
all right.
The
Great to
best
hear.
timing possible. What a way to kick us off. Um, I am going to go ahead and mute everyone. Nothing against y'all, but got to get through some administrative stuff right now. So welcome to LC 101. I am so excited to have everyone here. This is going to be great. I am so excited at the number of folks we have in this room that are all here to learn how to code, to learn a brand new skill, and to work really hard through this process. My name's Clark Roman. My pronouns are he, him. I met a lot of you during the kickoff orientation a couple last week, but if you haven't met me yet, well, I'm excited to be here. Some administrative stuff. Make sure that you can get onto the coursework page. I presume by the fact you are here that you made it. It's on learn.launchcode.org. That is the single source of truth. It is where you will find the reading for the day, the attendance, the concept checks, the links to class, links to how to ask for help. It is, if you have questions, check Canvas first. Another thing, also in Canvas, the link to it is in Canvas, the Slack. We have a Slack, and judging by the numbers, it seems like some folks may not have joined yet. If you go to Canvas, there is a welcome announcement, and in that welcome announcement, you will be able to find the link to our Slack channel. Joining Slack is required. I know I don't want more notifications either, but if your phone has to, if my phone has to blow up, so does yours. We are gonna, it is where I will message you if I have any questions for you. It's where Kyle will post links. It's where I will post too many pictures of my dogs, all sorts of things. And so make sure that you have joined. It looks like we probably have around 40 folks that probably haven't joined yet. So you might want to take a minute at the beginning of lecture, go into Canvas, go to that welcome link, and we will do that. Additionally, you may notice that this Zoom does not have a chat. That's because the chat gets real overwhelming really quickly. And so we will have a channel called Lecture Chat and Lecture Questions. Most of you, it looks like, have already joined that. And Kyle and I and the TAs will all be monitoring lecture questions. So if there's ever a moment where you're just like, no idea what Kyle just said, what's a variable? Ask that question. Please feel free to ask questions. That's where we kind of are trying to isolate all the side chatter that we want you to talk. We want you to make friends with each other. But we also got it. We have a lot of content to get through in class. So we're going to ask you to put all of the conversations over in lecture questions and lecture chat. And if you're having trouble finding that channel, ask your TAs during studio and they will help you find it. Help you join and get as much out of Slack as you can. So I've gone ahead and introduced myself. Oh, one last note. If you would like, you have the ability to turn on transcripts and closed captioning. So that is a button at the bottom of your screen that says CC, or maybe I just turned it on. I don't know how Zoom works right now. But if you need closed captioning, please use it. It is turns on and there's a live transcript, so you can see all the silly things I say. Now it's time. I'm gonna give it over to Kyle to, we see closed captioning. I just turned it on. Magic. Beautiful. I am gonna turn it over and let Kyle introduce himself and then have our lovely TAs introduce themselves and your student success coach.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Clark. Yeah, we finally got those live transcripts started. So great to see that. You all have kind of met me very briefly last time. For those who had to log off before we were able to meet, I'm Kyle. I'll be the instructor here for JavaScript on Unit 1 and Java or C#, depending for Unit 2. So I'm super excited to meet everybody, get to know everyone, and really start diving into this lesson. So thanks.
Now I'm going to pop one over to some of our TAs. You'll hear me use TF and TA. They mean the same thing. They are wonderful folks that are working to help you learn how to code in your small groups. You'll get to know more of all of them. But if any of the TAs want to go ahead and unmute themselves and do a quick introduction.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Lawrence Lockhart. I'm a TF with you guys. I just finished one group in the Northwest Arkansas area that was also remote, so really happy about that. I hail from the Memphis area where I'm a full stack developer at FedEx, and looking forward to working with you guys.
Hey everybody, I'm TF Sean. Me and Terrence just got a group through the last launch code LC101 and graduated a bunch of people, did really good. Now we're each in different groups this time around and look forward to having a group of people, and just know that the people in my group, I want to see each and every one of you graduation, and we're gonna do everything we can to get you there. So glad to have everybody on board, and I'm working over there with Colton. I see Colton smiling in the corner, so see you guys here as soon as we get done with this bit here. I'll throw a link in our group. If you're not in our group already, add yourself.
Hello, my name's Bree. I use they, she pronouns. I'm a TF. I work with at Chipworks, which is also Octane or Stamps.com as tech support. There's bread in my hair. Okay. So I have a small group as well. We all do, but I'm open for anyone. If anyone ever wants to ask questions, reach out. You don't have to be in my group to reach out and ask questions for me. So I'm a super open and helpful person, and I hope to be able to help all of you as much as I can.
Awesome. I can go next.
Hi.
Or go ahead. Okay, I'll go next. My name is Colton Crelo. I have taught 3 different cohorts before, and so this will be my
TF
4th.
Fred. Hi, I'm TA Fred. I've taught 3 or 4 LC101 cohorts. I just finished up one that Sean and Terrence was part of, and look forward to.
I think Fred was lagging, possibly.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Colton, do you want to did you finish up your introduction?
Oh, no, I did not. Sorry about that. All right, my name's Colton. I have taught 3 different cohorts before, so this will be my 4th. I'm excited to be here. I am a software engineer at Emerson working on hospital vaccine refrigeration, and I'm eager to work with all of you. And I actually just graduated my own class last week. I am now a whitewater certified river guide, so happy to meet all of you.
I'll go next. This is Vanita, one of the TFs. This is my first time being a TF, so be nice, but I write code for a living, so I know the craft. And good luck to all of you, and warm welcome to day 1 of your new journey.
I can go next. Hi, y'all. I'm Cassie. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a recent Coder Girl and Liftoff graduate, and I studied front-end web development. So I am in the apprenticeship pool waiting to get an apprenticeship, and this is my first time as a TA, and I'm super excited to be here. And yeah, just like Sean said, I want to see all y'all cross that finish line.
All right,
I'll
I can
go.
go next. All right. What the fuck was someone?
I'll go real quick. All right. My name's Steve Moxley. This is my 3rd time being a TF. I was also placed by Launch Code back in 2014. So, you know, I've been around here a while. I think it's a great organization. I honestly think it's one of the best things that St. Louis has going for it right now. So I envy you guys, you know, as you're starting your coding journey. This is a great place to start it. What I gotta say is just work hard. It's tough, but work hard. And you know, also my DMs are open to you guys if you need my help. I'm not just available to my group. My study hours are open, so just reach out.
Cool. All right. So my name's Gareth Davis. Actually, Steve and I have a group together, so we'll be, helping each other a lot. But again, I'm open to everyone too. I've been in the industry over 25 years now. I'm a software architect at Charter Communications, and this is my first time though being a TF or a TA or a T anything for launch code. But I know the program well. I work with. Have worked with lots of awesome launch code graduates, and I'm looking forward to all of you become awesome launch code graduates.
Hi, my name is... Go ahead, sorry. No, you're okay. My name is Terrence, TA Terrence. This is my second launch code cohort, but I've also helped with the independent track at Launch Code as well. I got my start at Launch Code in 2016, got my first apprenticeship job in 2016. I'm a software full stack developer for Veterans United. I work in multiple languages now. I started off with PHP, and now I'm back working in PHP, Java, C#, JavaScript. I worked in different frameworks from Polymer JS to React and Angular, Spring Boot. So I guess you want to say I'm agnostic, but you got a great start by learning JavaScript, because I struggled with JavaScript the first couple of years too, if I was able to get my head around it. And I understand everybody learns differently. And I'm one of those people that have a learning challenge. I don't call it a disability because I wasn't disabled by it, didn't stop me, but I do have a learning challenge, and I do understand the frustration and the struggle. So I will be posting videos, review videos of the chapters as we go forward for those people who just need to walk through it a little bit slower, and I'll break it down for you as well. So that's what my contributions as well. I want to give back to LaunchCode. And like I say, I work with TA Sean, me and TA Sean. Our goal is to get the most people through. We got a challenge to see who can get the most people graduating. So we're going to work hard to do that. And then to my man, Code, I actually work with Code over at Merit, so I know Code a little bit. So that's me. And like I said, reach out to me anytime if you need any help.
Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead if anybody. I'm Audrey, pronouns are she, her. Just graduated the bootcamp version of this program with the last cohort of LaunchCode people. And I'm really excited to meet everyone and help you guys get through. And I very much remember what the first day felt like. So you're gonna love it. Everyone is gonna be great.
My name's Corey.
Sorry, Corey, go ahead.
My name's Corey. My pronouns are she, her. I just graduated Launch Code. I was actually in front end with Cassie. So we're both recent Coder Girl and Liftoff graduates. I'm really excited to see you guys all go through here. It can be challenging at times, but it's incredibly rewarding. And I'm really happy Launch Code gave me the opportunity to help you guys along. Can't wait to see y'all succeed. It's going to be a fun journey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a first-time TATF too. I also just recently finished the Coder Girl program, and I can't believe how much I've learned and how far I've come in the 9-10 months that I've been doing this and dedicating a lot of time to it with the structure that Launch Code has provided. So I'm really excited to see how far you guys can go and help you along.
Hi all, I'm Shri. I just graduated from LC 101 last December. Last May, actually, I was a student in LC 101. And Kyle was my TA then. So it's going to be a wonderful journey. All the best. Good luck.
Hi everyone, I'm Safna. Hi, this is my second cohort LC 101. So I'm really excited to meet you all guys. I'm really looking forward to see you all graduate soon. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Haley. This is my second cohort as well. I was a floater last time, and I graduated from liftoff in January of last year, I think. So anyway, good luck to everybody. Feel free to reach out if you need help.
Okay, Austin. I was trying to count how many folks. So
Hi. Thanks, Clark. I'm Austin. This is my second cohort working as a TA with Launch Code. I'm a software developer at St. Louis University. I mostly work in JavaScript and Python. Really looking forward to getting to know all of you, and excited to dive back into another cohort of LC 101.
I believe that's all of our TAs. Did I miss anyone? Okay. In that case, I want to let Taylor Harvey take a minute to speak about what she does and why she's not a TA, but she is another vital resource for you in your coding, your journey through LC 101. Taylor, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'd love to. Thank you, Clark. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all through the internet. I am Taylor Harvey. My pronouns are she, her, or they, them. And I am your success coach. And you're probably wondering what that is. And I am the only one here that probably knows absolutely nothing about coding and cannot really help you with coding. But I'm here to help you professionally and personally with any non-coding related issues or challenges you may come to in your time in LC 101. So I'm a social work student at WashU. I'm getting my master's in social work in mental health. So I'm really well connected in St. Louis to mental health resources specifically, but also many other types of different resources, such as legal resources, housing resources, all kinds of different financial aid, health insurance, healthcare. If there are any issues that you are facing outside of class and that's interfering with your ability to get through the class or just interfering with your ability to thrive in life, I am happy to chat. I'm also just here as a sort of backboard for you to talk through any issues with time management. Dealing with learning this is really intense. This is my second cohort as a success coach, and I understand how hard this is by witnessing other people going through it, and also like looking at the content myself and engaging with it a little bit. It's really tough. It's really accelerated. It's a lot of really difficult and sort of like differently engaging information. It really engages a certain part of your brain. And it also interacts with our lives in really interesting and new ways. And so I'm here to provide any resources. I'm really into mindfulness, and so you can chat with me about that. But yeah, I am not a licensed clinician and do not provide therapy. I'm not a mandated reporter. However, I'm a social work student, like I said, so I have a lot of connections. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of training. I just finished my coursework, and so this is just me finishing up my remaining fieldwork hours, and then I'm done and graduated. And so I have a lot to provide and give back to y'all. And I'm also just here to chat. Like I said, like if you just need someone to chat with, to talk about your struggles in the class, I'm here. I'll re-announce myself in the announcements channel in Slack, and then I will give all this information again, and you can chat with me via Slack. I'll give you my email, and look out for DMs from me because I'll be reaching out to you throughout the course. And so nice to meet you all. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to watch you absolutely smash it. So thank you.
How's your dog?
Oh yeah, I'll introduce my dog, but I have a service dog, which you would already know if we were in person together. And he's very cute. He's a German Shepherd, Great Pyrenees mix. He just sneezed in the background, named Tucker, and he's a very good boy, and I'll send pictures.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is all of the administrative stuff. And we'll pass it on back to Kyle.
All right, sounds good to me. Let me just get set up here and we will get started. How's everybody feeling out there? take that one as cannot wait. Perfect. All right. We are recording. Awesome. I have like this huge checklist I always got to go through every time before I start. So sorry. Let's click start. Fantastic. I don't think I said that right. Oh, dang it. Not what I wanted. All right. There we go. That's what I needed. Perfect. I know you guys can't see anything I'm talking about, but it's okay. Because we're going to see it in a second. There it is. Share screen. Oh, we have 205 people. Oh, I should be more nervous. Listen, I can't let you all down, right? Like, that's statistically improbable. All right, let's get going. How is everybody doing? Ooh, let me actually move that up there. I'm not doing too good, apparently. I still gotta get this. I'm a little rusty still. It's been a few months. There we go. All right, got that going. Gotta get my chat up. Like Clark already said, if anybody wants to chat or ask questions, we got 2 awesome channels in the Slack. One is hashtag lecture questions, which, go figure, is the questions channel. And then also hashtag lecture chat. That is just for general chat. I'm just gonna keep the chat off here on our Zoom, just because sometimes it can be a little distracting to others in my past classes. So I'm just doing that for everybody's comfort right now. So I'm gonna get that going. Of course, if anyone has any of those questions right now, feel free to ask and I will blend that in. But other than that, I think we are good to go. I can never, why are you being like that now? Oh, that's gonna stink. I'm gonna just have that little bar up there the whole time. It's gonna be annoying. All right, whatever. Let's get into it. So welcome to, well, Launch Code. I realized I didn't really introduce myself too much, but I think most of the people were on that chat. I guess there were a few people missing there. I'll give my full introduction, just because I don't like to talk about myself too much. So Kyle, my pronouns are he, him. I am a full stack developer, senior full stack developer at Bayer. That's what I do in my daytime. I teach this in the afternoons, evenings, and I also do consulting work on the side. I've been programming professionally 9 years, I think, something like that. I don't know, I'm getting old now. And I've been programming though since I was a wee tot. So my first language was back when I was 12. I learned HTML4. If anyone knows the numbers of HTML, HTML5 is out now, just to date myself. And then also JavaScript was one of my main languages. Hence why I'm so excited to teach this class, because it goes back to my roots. So let's get to it. Let's dive into it. But before we actually do any of that coding stuff, I do, of course, have to introduce myself again. Me in a nutshell, I forgot to put this slide on there. Apparently I do love talking about myself because I keep just talking about myself. I am a coffee addict. As you can see, I had to make coffee just in that brief moment so I can stay perky. The other thing is that I'm also a traveler. So when I'm not sitting down in my chair or standing at my desk here, I do love to just go out and travel. So if anyone has any destination requests or anything that they really like, please shout them out to me. I love to hear about new places to go. I love hiking. I love just traveling the world pre-COVID. I love traveling my local area during COVID. So just let me know if anyone has any good destinations and or coffee shops. I do like to travel to coffee shops. And then finally, I'm an avid dog wanter. I don't have a dog, really want a pup. So every time I see a pup in the background, I kind of lose my mind just like a little bit. But I am not home enough yet for them, but I'm still out looking for that perfect fit. One day I will find my own pup. But you will notice that I am going to be a huge dog lover during all this, because a lot of my examples, unfortunately not so many with this lecture, have to do with dogs. So you'll get very annoyed and, Haley, I see that dog and that is adorable. And it's so much energy. Love it. I want a husky like really bad. Maybe probably because I'm also high energy sometimes, but whatever. Okay, that's me. I haven't seen any questions about me, so I'm going to stop talking about me, and we're going to go on to what I always start out class with, and that is going to be the announcements. Just here, we're going to just talk about what to expect in the next week, what's coming up, things like that. So first things first, welcome. I'm so excited to see each and every one of you here. TAs, new students, past students, everybody in general, just excited to see everyone, especially going from a COVID thing, just being able to see 200 faces, like it's just awesome. So excited that you're all here. I'm excited to dive into this, bring this new journey, or bring us through this new journey, help you out with it, and just kind of see you all succeed. I've seen everybody's faces out there so far, at least a couple of them, and everyone looks like they're ready to go. So super stoked about that. Secondly, make sure you join the GitHub Classroom and make sure you're on the Canvas, make sure you're doing all that stuff. I'm gonna be running through a small demo tonight just to make sure that everyone's on the same page with it. So if you do have those questions about it, hopefully that will answer them. But just make sure that all that administrative work is all finished before the end of today, or within next day or two. You just want to get that all out of the way, because there's going to be a lot of things coming down the pipeline here very soon. And then finally, I want to go over just a few things for class. Just because we are on the Zoom and not face-to-face, there are a few extra things we have to go through. First things, we've already went over this. Please do try to keep your mute on as much as possible. I will be asking a lot of feedback and just asking you to be interacted. So there will be plenty of time to press that unmute button. Just make sure it is muted while class is going on. If you do have those questions, feel free to put them into the lecture questions channel. I'll be making sure to pay attention to those throughout lecture, so I do stop when necessary. Then next, use those channels. Like we already said, hashtag lecture chat and hashtag lecture questions. These are the two main channels I'm going to be paying attention to. Mainly the lecture questions one. I'm not going to be checking out the chat too much. So if you do want to get my attention, do it in that lecture questions channel. Then finally, my biggest thing, please, please, please do ask those questions. I promise you that if you do truly have a question about what we're covering, you're not going to be the only one. If you feel like you don't want to put in the lecture channels question because you feel it's a stupid question, I won't feel like it's a stupid question. So then DM me. Absolutely directly message me so we can get that question answered. Happy to keep it anonymous, but I do want to hear those questions so I make sure that I'm hitting the right targets with everyone. Looking at that. We have a link to GitHub. So all that link, like all the GitHub information and everything, we'll go over here in class, but make sure you go through those emails as well. I know Clark and also LaunchCode set out a few of those emails, so those links should be in there. Also, the word of the day of attendance, which Clark, maybe you can chime in here. That is a new one, but I believe your TAs will have that. I've gotten that question before.
Yep, TAs will give it to you during studio time. And for GitHub Classroom, you will join. You want to make a GitHub account and you want to make a Replit account, but if you go through assignment 0, it'll walk you through all the steps you need to know.
Perfect. Thanks, Clark. All right. So after all this, yeah, again, just ask those questions. I had one more thing I had to say. I don't remember. If I remember it, I'll bring it back up. Let's talk about one more thing. Let's be resourceful. Be resourceful. I think this is from a movie or something. I don't remember. It was just going through my head. I was making these slides, so I just put it on here. But anyway, clappy emoji. What I have for you is that my personal, for teaching, I do have a couple extra resources for everyone to hopefully help them out as they go through this journey. The first one, I'm going to be posting all of these recordings, such as this lecture, and things also that we'll talk about here soon, onto my YouTube channel. I'll make sure that I send out all these links to you so you don't have to copy this down now. Don't get those pencils out. They'll be coming down the pipeline here soon. The next thing is that all of these slides that I make will be on a shared drive. So feel free to go ahead and download these before or during class in order for you to, if you want to follow along, because I know some people like to do that. Then finally, I have a Calendarly. What this is that it's just a scheduling tool. So I do have some open hours within my schedule, and I want to make sure that I'm there or at least transparent or available if any of the students need it. So feel free to reach out on this link right here, this Calendarly, to set up a one-on-one time if you have any questions, concerns, or just want to chat. So these are the 3 main resources that I have for you. Other than that, the last thing I have to talk about is, let me make sure there's no questions there. Okay, it looks like that was answered. Perfect. All right, so last things last, review time. As you already know, there's exercises that need to be set or be completed before lecture. Make sure you come to lecture reading that lecture material. These lectures are gonna go a lot smoother if you come prepared. And then finally, at the very end, you're gonna go to your breakout rooms like you already know, and you're gonna do studio. At the end of that breakout time, I'm gonna invite everyone back, and oh, it's not gonna be the right time. I'm gonna invite everyone back today at 8 o'clock to do review time. I'm gonna review the entire studio and go through it myself. It says 8:30 here, don't trust that, I'm a liar. It is 8 p.m. So I'm gonna invite everyone back. You'll see it on the announcements channel. I'm gonna just invite everyone back into this exact same Zoom. And we'll just go over the studio and exactly what we were supposed to do during it. All right, so that's all I have to chat about. Anybody have any final questions? Feel free to take yourself off mute if anybody has any questions. Fantastic, awesome sauce, 2 thumbs up. Let's do this. All right, let's get started with coding. We're gonna dive right into the deep end. We're gonna learn about all the hard stuff. JK. We're gonna bake a cake. All right. So also, by the way, I forgot to do this. Yeah, like Zoom fire drill. You know, like back when you were in school, you usually do a fire drill just prepare, you know, whatever happens in the building. Zoom's the same way. If I ever lose connection or if my connection is going out, someone please Slack me and let me know that I'm glitching out. Hopefully it isn't, because I should be up to date on my bills with Charter or whatever Spectrum. But if I do glitch out, let me know so I can repeat it. If I do lose connection, give me 5-10 minutes to come back. For some reason, my computer crashed because it's just giving up on me because it's a Monday, or my internet went out. Just keep with me, but just letting you know that. Anyway, back to a cake. Anybody got a good cake? I'm gonna get a good cake like recommendation. I don't have like a favorite cake. Am I? No. Feel free to type it in, the questions or whatever. Mine is cheesecake. So if you ever want to try to bribe me, which I will never do because Clark's on the call, cheesecake. That's the way to my heart. All right. So we're going to bake this cake, a delicious cake. So I am going to need people. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Sean. Gooey butter cake. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's the same with a staple. We're going to make a cake. So I'm going to need people to tell me, like, actually interact with me here. So feel free to take yourself off mute and just help me out here. When we're baking a cake, step number 1. Tell me a step number 1 for baking a cake. Oh, Clark, can you take off? Thank you. Clark, can you take off the mute? Thank you. All right, there we go. Now people should be able to tell me how to bake a cake.
Get the ingredients.
Get the ingredients.
The ingredients.
I love it. Get those ingredients. And then gotta mix them together. I'm putting it all in one. I don't want to do too many steps here. So yeah, get those ingredients, mix them together. Fantastic. What's the second step we should do?
Preheat the oven.
Preheat the oven.
I like it. Put it all together again, just to save us some time. We're gonna bake it. So we're gonna preheat that oven. We're gonna mix it up, put in that tin thing, and then bake it. Perfect. And then finally, what should we do last?
Take it out.
Icing.
Let it cool.
I like that. Well,
eat it.
You guys have way too much like restraint. I would not let it cool at all. That thing is being destroyed warm.
You gotta eat the batter too. Can't forget that part.
And the batter. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yes, absolutely. You need to decorate it and serve it up. So awesome. Thank you very much. So congratulations. You all just completed your first algorithm. A recipe, things like these tasks, things that are step by step, these are algorithms. I know on like Hollywood and everything, the word algorithm is thrown around a lot, but honestly, when you break it down, it's just this simple. Algorithms are things that are sequential. Sequential meaning step by step. So what we did here to bake this cake is that we started by mixing the ingredients, going and getting them. We moved on. We can't bake any batter that's not actually mixed. So we bake the batter, which is the second step, and then finally we decorate and serve it up. None of these steps can be skipped to do the next one. Hence, this is an algorithm. It's a recipe. That's exactly what these are. So basically, all said and done. This is computer programming. Right here are the recipes. We're all done for the day. Wouldn't that be great? JK, we're going to add 1 + 2. We're getting way more complex here. Instead of a cake here, though, we're going to bring in a computer. Not as tasty, but I like computers more. Well, actually, probably 50-50 on that. So what we're going to do, we're going to add 1 + 2. I'm going to talk us through this algorithm. The first thing we're going to do is get the first number, aka 1. The next thing we're going to do is get that second number and add it to 1. Then finally, we're going to go to the third step, which is just show me the answer, which in this case, 1 + 2, anybody? I think it's still 3. So we're going to show 3 to the screen. Very good. I like that when people are like showing me like, yes, exactly, 3. Thank you. So this is another algorithm because we did a step-by-step process. There's no way we can skip any of these without doing the first one before it. So hence what we're talking about here is an algorithm that's written in plain English. We were able to understand this because we're speaking our own language here, at least one that we understand, which is, again, written for humans. So this algorithm was written for humans, but instead for computers, as we know, they don't talk like us necessarily. So these algorithms that we're going to be working with are not going to be written in English necessarily, but they're going to be written in programming languages. I'm sure you all have heard the term programming languages as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our next big friend, which is going to be JavaScript. JavaScript is going to be the programming language we're going to be working with in this unit to get those algorithms or those recipes actually written out to something that a computer can understand. A little bit more about JavaScript is that it's a front-end language. So what does front-end mean exactly? We're going to just like bare bones. It is what works with things that we see on a website, things we actually see with our eyes and interact with. This is a front-end language. Things that you can typically go for is a website. A website is something that's designed in a front-end language, JavaScript. Now, we know websites, we know Google isn't stored on our computer locally. It talks to a mothership, it talks to the cloud, it talks to other things, AKA it talks to a server. That's where all these websites are coming from. So front-end languages actually talk to servers. Servers are developed with back-end languages. Those backup languages being things you've already heard as well, C# and Java. Now you might be asking yourself, is this something important? Do I need to remember this right now? Is this going to be on the test later? It is not. I want to just introduce everyone to these words. So we're going to be dealing with front-end languages only in Unit 1. We're going to be dealing with things that we see and interact with. I just want to introduce now server and the back-end languages, just so no one's caught off guard into the far future. But this is basically how the internet works right here. So in order to start making these websites, we need to actually start speaking their language. So in order to do that, sorry, I was looking at it to see if we have any questions now. So you need to start speaking their language. Again, if I just shout at the computer, print out the screen 3 to me, the computer's gonna be very, very confused. Well, hopefully your computer's not confused. Hopefully it's not talking back to you. Otherwise, you might have a virus. But essentially, you can't get anything out of a computer if you start screaming at it, especially if you say work or why aren't you connecting. Nothing's gonna happen there because we're not speaking its language. Hence bringing in programming languages, JavaScript. You actually need to start talking their lingo. So instead of saying that, we've used this line of code. And hopefully everyone who's done the prep work has seen this. This is console.log and then 3. When we actually speak this to the computer, that's when it starts to be able to understand. And then it was able to show us 3 on the screen. Remember, now we're talking its language. This is actually a line of JavaScript code. So one thing I do want to point out here is that it looks pretty on the screen, but what happens if we do something to those words? What if we capitalize console? We like do all caps for log and we still have 3 in there. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that the language of a computer is a little picky. This is not going to work. So make sure that the code that you see when you're learning it is held true, especially with capital letters, because that will possibly break it or give you an error. Hence why you need to start debugging. So what we're seeing here is console.log 3. A little picky. It's just like a little picky. Like it's cool, but yeah, it will tell you when it's mad. Trust me, we'll all get used to that here soon. Well, maybe not used to it, but we'll see it. So, any questions so far? Otherwise, we're going to keep diving into it for the actual storm hits. There we go. We're going to take this console.log. So we know how to speak the language now. We've learned our first line of JavaScript code. But now we need to take it one step further. We need to somehow bring it into the computer. Now, in order to do this, you can't, again, just say console.log to your screen and hope that it would show the number 3. We actually need to bring in a specific kind of environment. In this case, we're going to be doing all this coding or talking to our computer in a coding environment. And I really love Red Velvet Gooey Butter Cake too. We're going to be talking in a coding environment. This environment is basically the notepad or the area that we can talk to a computer and have it actually do something. This is where we can write our code. So coding environments is what we're going to be working with into the far future here in this unit and also the next one. Another word you're going to see it referred to as is called an IDE. Now, this is just a fancy acronym, and what it stands for is Integrated Development Environment. Basically what it means is that it just is a coding environment. It runs your code that you type in there. So if you see IDE there, just know it means go to your coding environment. In this case, as we all know, hopefully, is Replit. So what we're going to do is take a look at that. So this is where I want to actually begin by, I'm going to run through our example of how to get that all started. So what we're going to do here is that before we even go into Replit here, we're going to go into our graded assignment 0. Typically, I don't walk through these assignments. Don't expect this to happen every single time. This is just to get our feet wet and started because this is a new part of liftoff. Or sorry, this is a new part of LC 101. So therefore, you're probably going to see me stumble over my feet a bit because I actually haven't even done these steps. So let's get ready to see the instructor fail at something right on the first class. So what we're going to have to do here is that we come to Canvas. That Canvas link should be in the emails you've received from LaunchCode. Worst case, go to learn.launchcode.org. That's where all of your Canvas will be at. Next, I'm going to go to the graded assignment 0, and then click the link to accept your assignment 0 invitation. So you will see your email here. And Clark, also feel free to chime in to correct me if I'm wrong at any point. But I'm not going to click on anything here because I'm not technically in the class. So I'm going to skip to the next step. You should definitely find the email that's associated to you and click that. So skip and go to the next step. Then I'm going to press accept this assignment. All right, so they're configuring my repository. Fantastic, that's what I like to hear. And refresh the page to see the results. All right, awesome, there we go. So now I got my link. So I come down here and it's, let's see.
You gotta do something before you turn it in.
Do I? Oh, I don't want to do anything. Do I have to go to the link? Oh, work in Replit. Okay, I'll click work in Replit. And now I got to paste my repository.
Gotta authorize it first.
Oh.
No, go back. Click import from Replit from GitHub. It'll do it. It'll break it, and we'll show you how to fix it. Or it won't break it. What?
What? Look at that.
Magic. That is best case scenario.
That's what I like to deal with. Let's see, now it's going to boot the Replit. Replit, by the way, again, is an IDE. It's a coding environment. This is where we can actually work with some code, JavaScript in this example. So that's the README. So what do we do? Run, I believe. See if everything works. It's going to install some stuff just so things can work. It's doing some fun things behind the scenes. We do not have access to follow these steps yet, correct? You should be able to find all of these instructions and have access to everything within that Canvas link, learn.launchcode.org. And there we go, we have hello printed out. So I know hello needed to be printed out there. So now what I want to do this. And Clark, I know you're just watching to see if I actually know how to do it. And I'm like, all right, copy the US, got it, all right. So now I copy this, right? I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'll copy the whole thing here. And it looks like commit the final version to Replit account. Do I need to press anything here?
So you're actually going to want to go down to the hello.js. We're actually starting real early on something that will be pivotal for you all. So when you are a professional developer, we'll talk a lot about what's called version control. And version control is a fancy way of saying, save it extra special in a way that other people can collaborate with you. But we're going to do it in a little more complicated way later, but here's the first way we do it. So we do it as an integration between Replit and GitHub. So for this, you get a little introduction. So all I want Kyle to do is go ahead and add world to that string. So we're just modifying a string here, okay? Kyle, if you want to run it, it should say hello world. Does it say hello world? Beautiful.
It says hello world.
We modified that string. Okay. And now if you go over to the left-hand side of your screen, over a little more, down to version control. Here's where actually you commit it. So you get to commit your code early. Write a commit message. And this is something you will be doing with as professional developers all the time. So you're starting it at day one. And now you're going to commit and push. And this will push it up to Kyle's GitHub or to your own GitHub.
Oh, there we go.
I knew we were going to hit that error sometime.
Let's go ahead and do that.
So go ahead and click yours. Yep. And
don't judge me for my name, by the way. I made it when I was younger. Not really, like 3 years ago.
If you do all repositories, it may or may not get cranky. We'll see. If it gets cranky, do only select.
Let's
and
do that.
Just do the repository you just created.
Oh.
Might have to do all of them. Might have to do all of them. We'll see if it gets
Alrighty.
cranky.
Give me 1 second. Y'all. Because I actually don't remember if I know my password. No, I don't. Oh no.
And a peek behind the curtains for all the, while Kyle types his password. This assignment is a chance for us to make sure everything's connected correctly. Because this is how you're going to do all the rest. It's supposed to be, the most frustrating part is going to be getting everything connected. So you added world. Now if Kyle goes back to that GitHub repository, so if you go to GitHub. You could just go straight to github.com. You actually need to be, I believe, on your main page. Something about just go up to, just not even that one, just github.com homepage.
Alrighty.
I know, it's, and now over in the
There we
left-hand
go.
side of the screen, you made those two commit. You made a commit to LC101, May 2021. And if you want to click on that repository, we can show you a little bit even more. See, it passes. So you will get really into this green check mark. People love this green check mark because that means your code passes all the tests. It means that all the autograder tests are golden. And that green check mark, I've seen some people get pretty manic about getting that green check mark. And that means your test, your code, you've written the code to satisfy everything, all of our requirements. And our requirements are here. This one, the requirements are get everything connected and learn how to modify a string. They'll be more complicated later on, but the main thing you need to be concerned with is make sure to push your commit within Replit. And once you do that, this is actually the link that you're going to submit within Canvas. So you're going to go ahead.
I need help.
I
just need to tell you the term manic and maniac and stuff like that, those are offensive terms to me.
Okay, well, I appreciate you letting me know. And thank you for that. I appreciate you being willing, and I will make sure to not use them in the future.
Okay, thank you. It's like the R word in a way.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you telling me that. Thank you for telling me that, and I will make sure to modify my language in the future. So this is actually the link that you will submit. This is what when we call things about repositories, this is what your GitHub repository is. It is the home for all your code. So this is what we want you to submit when we ask you to submit a link to your GitHub repository.
Awesome.
That feel good? I know we're gonna have some questions. This is a little bit of a complicated process, and I understand that we may have a little bit of a learning curve. But the main thing that we want you to get used to is having systems talk to each other. So we are having Replit communicate with GitHub Classroom, communicate with GitHub. And that is something that you will be doing as professional developers in other ways as well. So this is an early step in the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Clark. All right. Okay, so
I'm sorry,
I know there might.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's going on?
All right, so with this process that we have to do, is somebody gonna help us walk us through it, or that's it?
So this recording will be out there for everyone to go through. The entire directions are also on the assignment itself. So there will be your TAs available tonight to help you with all of this as well. So make sure you ask them, or excuse me, the TFs. So, but I do highly recommend going through the assignment and trying to do it yourself so you can get your hands dirty with Replit and GitHub, because these are two essential programs you're going to be using through at least the beginning part of this course, and GitHub through the entire. So yeah, there will definitely be people helping there. But remember, this recording is out there. So unfortunately, everything went according to plan here. So it doesn't really help out with a lot of error debugging, but definitely ask your TFs tonight. worst case scenario, feel free to reach out to myself or Clark. Sorry, Clark, if you have any questions.
Where can I find the recordings if I can't make a class?
So the 3 resources we talked about at the beginning of class, we have a YouTube channel, and that YouTube channel I'll be sharing at the end of class here, and all the recordings for this lecture will be inside of that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. The slides too will be also available, and also the Calendly link too.
So that thought box you were talking about.
I'm sorry?
That thought box. The one that you said to put comments in. Or
Oh yeah, for in Replit. So in
Yeah.
version control.
yeah, I can't find that on my screen.
So if you go over to the icon that says version control here, click on that, you should be able to see it below here. Make sure you do change something in order for it to be available, but that's where your softbox should be, that comment box.
Yeah, I don't have an icon like that.
Okay.
And also,
So I would,
where you are, how did you get there?
I would say reach out to your TAs tonight, because there might be more of an individual question there just to see what's going on. So if we have time at the end too, I'll definitely reach back out and we'll see if we can get that all squared away. So feel free to reach out to your TA right now, or again, we'll hit that question back up at the very end of class.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else have a second question before we continue on the start of our JavaScript journey? All right, then let's keep going. Clark, any last minute thing? Cool. All right, everybody. So what we talked about before, I didn't want to bring up the IDE or your coding environment. What we just saw here, Replit, that will be your beginning coding environment, your IDE that we're going to be using into the future. I have one open just right here. I just started a new Replit. It has nothing to do with our assignments, has nothing to do with anything we're doing. It's just for me to work in. Maybe try out some JavaScript code of my own that I want to try. In this case, we started with which line of code? What line of code have we been talking about? The first one we've learned starts with the C.
Console.log.
Console.log. Awesome. We're going to start with that. Like we said, console.log, and then I just want it to print 3 to the screen here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run that, and we're going to see if it actually works. Like I said, I promised it would show 3. Does it actually show 3? Where's Replit going to break on me? No, it shows 3. Awesome. Over here in our output, we see 3. It's exactly what we want to see. So, like we said, if we capitalize the C here, or if we do the L, O, G, or something like that, just to show you what's going to happen if we run this like this, we're going to might get a big red chunk back in our output box. This is not what we want to see. And what it's going to say is that console is not defined, things like that. It's because we didn't, or it's because we capitalized it. We don't want to do that. So make sure that when you are seeing those references to code, just make sure you're matching up pretty closely. All right, let's hop back into it. What I want to do now, I know it's been a second, but I want to just see how everyone's doing so far. So just a few questions to y'all. Tasks within an algorithm are completed how? How are these tasks in a computer or on a recipe completed?
Sequentially.
Very good. Sequentially, one after the other. Fantastic. Second one up, JavaScript is a what kind of computer language?
Front end.
Front end. Very good. All right.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Blank is a line of code that prints something to the screen.
Console log.
Console log.
A plus, everyone. And then finally, for code to work, it must be written in what?
IDE.
IDE, coding environment. Awesome job, everyone. Looks like everyone's still on board. Fantastic. So let's keep moving forward then. It's time to actually have now a downside. We have to talk, well, behind computers' backs, and it's not very good. We're gonna throw some shade. A computer is an awesome device. Sometimes it's given a little bit more credit than it usually should be. Computers are smart because the people behind them are smart. Just like all of you, you're gonna be developers, so you're gonna be that smart person behind the computer. But if you just ask a computer out of the blue to remember a few things for it, the computer's gonna be a little hazy on doing that because the computer's actually not that smart. It needs us to do things. And for real, like just to remember like 1 or a 2 can be kind of, well, just a little bit of a burden to a computer. So we need to do something extra to help them out with that. Let's take a closer look at this. Let's bring back that algorithm we were talking about before, adding 1 plus 2. We got that first number. It got a 1. A-okay, we're still there. The computer can remember a 1. We move on with our algorithm sequentially, and now we need to bring in that second number. So it brings in plus 2. Immediately when we start talking about that plus 2, the computer completely forgot what it did before. It has no idea what the previous task was. It looks at the current task only in its algorithm. So it forgets about that, it completely forgets about that 1. So again, these computers, our programs, won't remember information unless we absolutely tell them to. The question is, though, is how do we make them remember? So that's what we're going to talk about here. Going back to just the first number, to have a computer remember information, remember data, we use a thing called variables. Now, for some people who may have not seen variables or it's been in a bad context because it also deals with math, variables in this case are our absolute friend. They're the tool, the essential tool we're going to be using to remember data in our programming classes. But the question you might be asking right now is, what do they actually look like? So what we're going to do is that we're going to open up our pretend IDE here, and we're just going to take a look at a quick variable. In JavaScript, the word we always start out to create a variable is the word let. And then we're actually going to name our variable. We have to give it some kind of name. So we say my first number, because I just want to name the variable something. And then we actually have to assign a value to it. We need to tell what this data or what this variable to actually hold. So I'm going to say equal to 1. Now that was just a lot there. We just learned a lot of new words. This is beyond console.log right now. So this might be just like a little bit of a what actually is going on right now. So what we want to do is kind of more explore that, just that single line of code that we just discovered. So let's learn a little bit more about this thing. Let's bring back in that variable. And let's first talk about that let word. Like we said, the let word tells the computer that you're making a new variable. This word allows us to create a brand new variable so our computer can remember information. The second thing here is the variable's name. Just like people, just like our animals, just like our pets, we all like to name them so we can reference them later. So we need to name it so we know who we're talking about further down the code. So we name it here. Now, like we already talked about previously during this lecture, JavaScript or any programming language in general can be a little bit picky. So when it comes to naming of variables, there are a couple rules. We can put numbers in there. So we can have my variables is number 1. This is completely fine. We're all good here. But if we bring in maybe one cool variable like there, but we put the 1 at the very beginning, this is not allowed. We got to make sure that we don't name our variables with a number in the very beginning. We can't have 1, a 2, or any kind of number there, or else JavaScript's going to lose its mind. So do not do this portion. And one more to look at is make sure we're not including any special characters in here. That @ sign will cause an error. An exclamation point, a dash, a period, all will cause an error. So make sure that we typically keep our variables mostly alpha characters, but putting numbers maybe at the end. This is how we want to name our variables. So let's keep moving on. And also, thank you for that. I love the little lecture questions. That makes me feel so good. All right, anyway, let's move on to this little equal sign thing here. Everyone knows what an equal sign is. So, but what this is telling the computer specifically is that you're going to assign a value to it. Maybe reassign or just single assign it. But you're going to give this variable some kind of value. Hence what comes next, the 1, or any kind of number there. We can assign this number into the variable. It tells our computer, I want you to have my first number as the value of 1. Then finally, you might have noticed we have a little guy over here. This is our semicolon. Semicolon should be added at the very end of our code in JavaScript. You might notice that JavaScript won't complain all the time if you don't put a semicolon there, but it is good practice. And though it might not complain, your TA might complain, and I'm definitely going to complain. So we're even worse than the compiler. So definitely make sure you're adding your semicolons at the very end of your lines of code. All right, So we broke this down about variables. Any questions about variables right now?
Can you repeat why the semicolon was important again?
The semicolon in majority of languages is absolutely necessary. It tells the compiler where the end of your code is, so the compiler can keep going down. By the way, a compiler is somebody who's translating that code in your coding environment into computer speak, so the computer can actually do something. But that semicolon typically said where your code ended. It's not always necessary in JavaScript to do so, but there are some instances and cases that it can cause problems. Hence why it's a highly recommended practice to add that semicolon at the end. So that, awesome.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a stupid question.
It's not a stupid question.
Can a value be like a word?
That's a great
Let
question.
my first number equal potatoes. Can it be a word? I'm lagging out. I can't even hear your response. Dang it.
You're all good.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Awesome. And yes, it absolutely can. We'll talk more about that here a few slides from now, but you're absolutely in the right. And yeah, great curiosity. It definitely can be assigned to potatoes.
Okay.
Question
All
for
right.
you, Kyle.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so I posted a question in the chat, but in Slack, I'll ask it here. So in the variable command, would it, as long as the number is not the first character in the command after let, could it be in any other, does it necessarily have to be at the end, or could it be somewhere inside of, like, so for example, your example right there, if I put like the number one variable is num, would that cause an error or?
No, so as long as the number is not the first character, it's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you can say cool number one variable. That's okay. It just can't be the first one.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great questions, everybody.
That is a good
Any others?
question. I have one question. The global variable, how is that different?
So we won't talk about too much about global variables just yet in this lecture, but I like that. So at least with my lecture. So global variables, what global means is exactly what it sounds like. It's accessible everywhere. So a global variable is something that's just accessible all the way through your code. As of right now, don't worry too much about it. Majority of the variables we're going to be dealing with in the first few lectures are going to technically just be global. We're going to be able to access them anywhere. So rest assured right now, we're not going to have to dive too much into it, but remember the concept of global variables because it will be returning. Angel, if you do want more information, I'm happy to talk one-on-one also. Just feel free to DM me and I'll definitely give more context about global variables. Awesome.
Is there any pattern for the capitalization? Where to capitalize or where not to capitalize? Or
Absolutely. So the capitalization that you're looking at right now is called, I almost called it the wrong thing. It's called camel case. I almost said snake case, it's a different one. Camel case. So as you can see, every word, like, so my was lowercase. I would always make sure that your variables stay lowercase on the first one. Who did that? Thanks, Sean. Yeah, so make sure that your variable starts with a lowercase letter. And then as you can see, my variable is num. Variables capitalized is and num are. So every word, if you're making a larger sentence or a larger descriptor, make sure you capitalize those words. It'll help you as the developer identify those variables a little bit easier.
Question.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you able to, instead of using the camel case, are you able to use an underscore, to separate the words in JavaScript?
Technically, underscore is an acceptable special character. You can do that if that's what you want. That one is called snake case. So you can snake case your variables as well. It's all about your own preference at this moment. So feel free to use the underscore if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
One more question, Kyle. I do apologize.
You're good.
For the variable rule, so how you have it here, where the V is capitalized and the N is capitalized, would the code actually be looking for it to be case sensitive? say for example, the exercises I was doing prior to class when we were working with the variables, I didn't really look at anything that says, you know, like for example, if I were to type it out, if I were to type it out just like you have it here, let, and then my variable is num1, the way you have it here. But then if I go in, you know, on another command, and I'm basically saying that my variable, but I don't have any letters capitalized, will it cause the system to crash like that, or?
It will. So as we saw in the console log example, our programming languages are case sensitive. So if you type it out exactly like my variable is num with those specific capital letters, and you need to refer to that variable later, you need to type it exactly how it was created.
Excellent, thank you.
Absolutely, and great questions, everyone. I think I have time for one more. So anybody else have a final question about these variables before we'll do more examples, but just want to make sure out of the gate there's none.
I do.
Amy.
I remember I have been it does say that you're able to put a number after a variable, because I remember I've always been putting numbers after variables or in the variables. So at first I got confused, but now I understand. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Numbers can definitely be included there. They just can't be the first character. Fantastic.
Or they could be written as the word. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Also true. Yep. You can use the word one instead of the character one. Absolutely. All right.
And if you do one for one variable and the same exact thing for the other variable, only it's the word rather than the number, then they're different variables.
Correct. Yep. Case sensitive and also naming very specific. So very good. Awesome call out. All right. So I'm going to move on here, and hopefully if anyone does have any questions about variables, feel free to throw them in that lecture chat or lecture questions, and I will definitely get to it. All right. Got that semicolon, and let's go back to our IDE. We dove into this variable, so hopefully everyone's feeling a little bit more comfortable with these variables. So let's move on here. Now that we've been able to define this variable, let's go ahead, and now the computer can be like, okay, I can remember one now. So everyone's like, okay, awesome, we can remember one. Let's move on to the next part of the algorithm, adding that second number. So what it's going to do is that we need to remember the second number as well, because we need to add them here in a little bit. So after that discussion, who can tell me how to create our second number variable? What do we start with?
Let.
Very good. All right, and then what comes next?
That's my second number.
Second number.
Very good. Very good. Yes, the variable name. So my second number.
Second number.
And then finally, what we need to do is assign that value, which I'm going to give it to 2. So there we go. We've created our second variable. Awesome. So now that we have this second variable, our computer is able to remember, okay, you want 1 and 2. But the next thing we need to do is we need to actually, oh, why am I behind right now? What we need to do is that this algorithm requires us to add these 2 numbers together. So let's talk about real quick how to add these 2 variables. I'm going to need a little bit more space, so I'm going to go to a single slide with this. So we have our first number 1 and our second number 2. We need to add these 2 things together. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create a variable to save all this information about what 1 plus 2 is. So how do I start creating a variable again? What keyword do we use?
Let.
Very good. I like the enthusiasm. Let. And I'm going to call this one the answer. What character do we use to tell our computer that we're
equal?
There we go. Equal. Thank you. I heard a lot of feedback. Sorry.
All right. My first number.
Very good. My first number.
Plus my second number.
Awesome job. Yes, I'm going to pause here real quick. My first number. We use the name of the variable to get its value. Like we already talked about previously, we need to use the exact spelling, the exact capital letters of that variable that we talked about at the very top, my first number, and put it here in this line. Then, like we already heard, plus my second num. This is how we actually refer to other variables to get their value out. To talk a little bit more about it, let's break it down. We have this let answer my first number plus my second number. What's actually going on behind the hood? Remember, we're writing an algorithm right now. When we get to that third line, what it's going to do is going to see my first number here. And it's going to be like, okay, what was my first number? It's going to look up 2 lines and replace it with 1. It's like, okay, it was the value of 1. And it's going to do the same for my second num. It's going to be like, okay, my second num is actually 2. My second num is actually 2. There we go. So it's going to bring up 2. So we have 1 plus 2. So the computer's going to be like, all right, I can do math. This was always what I was built for. So what it does is then it adds them together and then assigns the answer to the value of 3. This right here is how we, this is how the computer's actually doing that on that third line right there. All right, so we just went through this. So any questions about what we just covered here? How we're referring to these variables within our algorithm, within our IDE, within our code?
We need console.log.
So we're not there yet. Right now, I'm just asking questions to see if anyone has any of these questions. I like that. I like that. We're almost there. But anybody have any questions about what we just covered about how to add 2 variables together?
Okay, so it's not necessarily a question, but like just a general. I forgot the word. I can't talk. But let the answer equal 3 is what you get when you hit num, though, correct? I mean, when you hit run, though, correct? Or did you enter input let the answer equal 3?
So I'm just showing you, that was kind of more of a breakdown of what's happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
So yeah, that was just what's happening exactly behind the scenes. It's not actually what's happening in our IDE. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, yeah, what's up?
Do you need parentheses for doing things like this, or do you just need the variable names?
As of right now, you just need the variable names. Like I said, computers are great at math. So if you do want to do parentheses, just remember your, oh gosh, what is it called? The order of operations. I forgot what the actual acronym was called, but remember parentheses, yeah. Remember parentheses means something different in math. It means add this first. So yeah, you're absolutely able to use parentheses. Just remember what they mean in math.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Is there a space between the plus, or is it how do we space it, or we write it together?
The actual line of code there.
Yeah.
So you don't have to put spaces if you don't want between the plus, but I do that just to space it out so it doesn't all look too conjoined. That's my OCD, but it is not required. You don't have to put spaces there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So I already heard it. I like it. Finally, we need to print the answer to the screen. Also, I don't know why I have annotations on. So I'm going to remove that. There we go. Try not to press annotate. If I don't know what's enabled, so sorry about that. Yeah, try not to annotate because I'm very lucky that I figured out how to do that, because I've never seen that before. Anyway, all right, so we need to actually print out the answer to the screen. What line of code do we use to print out an answer to the screen?
Console.log.
Very good. The console.log. And what I'm going to put in here is not 3. Very good. Console.log, the answer, the name of the variable. Now pay very close attention to this. This variable is not wrapped in quotes. We'll talk about quotes here in the near future, but notice that the answer is just written in there. And inside of it has the value of 3. So when this actually gets printed out, we'll have the output of 3. Now, let's take a quick look at this and actually see if everything I'm teaching is actually true. So talk me through this. How do we create our first variable?
Let space
console.log, or
my first number.
My first number. So remember, we're creating our first number variable equals 1. Mm-hmm. So we just created our first variable here. We can't just console log anything right out of the gates. Recipes and algorithms start from the top and we write down to the bottom. Computers go line by line. So our first line is our first number. The second one is going to be our second number. Who can help me with this portion of the variable?
My
second number equals 2.
Semicolon.
2. Very good. Equals 2. All right. let's add them together. What do we do?
Let
Let the answer
equal
equal
my first number
my first number
plus
plus my second number.
semicolon.
Very good. I love it. Just a great choir of the right answer, and that's what I love. Awesome
all like
job, everybody. Working together. All right. So the answer: my first num plus my second num, and then finally, well, how do we print things out to the screen?
Console.log.
That's right. That's right. All right.
Answer.
Remember, we place that answer in without quotes. It is directly the name of the variable. Awesome job, everybody. Let's run this and see what we get.
The answer.
Let's see, we get 3. We get the answer, which is 3. Yay! There we go. Our output is 3.
Congratulations.
Awesome. We
Let's
just created
go.
a 4-line algorithm, right? We did that. So awesome. All right, let's keep moving forward here.
That's tight.
Can you help me with this? Let's talk about what we just went through. How would I create a variable called a number with a value of 10?
Let
a
number equals 10.
Very good. Absolutely. Now, I bring up this line of code. Who can tell me what the value of my var is?
My var is
Number plus 5.
15.
15. Let's talk about that. Remember, we use a variable name, a number, plus just a normal number. We can do this. This is completely fine. And our value will be 15.
20.
And it gets assigned to my var. Finally, what does this do?
Hello world.
It prints hello world.
Very good. It's going to print hello world to the screen. Now, we've talked about this a few times today, and someone already brought up potatoes, and we all need to talk about a character we haven't really spoken about just yet. And those are those quotes that we see here inside of the console.log. These quotes are very important. They dictate something very, very crucial to programming languages, including JavaScript. So let's talk about those. And oh my gosh. All right. I don't even know what I wanted. Yeah, there we go. Oh, sorry, give me a second. There we go.
Everything
perfect. Cool? Everything is kind of cool. I'm getting confused. There we go. Oh no. All right. Let's talk about some types. Data comes in different flavors, and we're going to be learning about a majority of them, or if not all of them, during this unit in JavaScript. It's going to be great. So we're going to talk about the first one that everyone should know. We have 10, 2, and 3.5. Very good. These are called numbers. Awesome. So one thing I do want to call out here is that we have 3.5. Remember, numbers not only come in their whole forms or 0, they also come in decimals.
As well as irrationals.
Exactly. Very good. Also, don't forget, I'll ask if there's any questions. Feel free to talk in the lecture chat, or feel free to go in the lecture question. So yes, 3.5 is a decimal. So we can definitely do those decimals there. So, and you can also do negative numbers too. These are all numbers. The next thing we wanted to talk about, and the one we just brought up last time, was that hello world. Those quotes, that hello world, dictates a different kind of type called a string, as we already talked. So strings are things that are used or have multiple characters within them to create a word or some kind of concept. Maybe that's just not numeric. So that's what these are for. Is to tell our compiler, tell our computer, we're creating a string. One thing I want to bring up here is that we want to make sure that we want to create a string. So if you do just want to create a string, use those quotes. That's how we create them right there. So we're going to talk a little bit more about strings here. So let's bring that up. Hello world was one of our strings. Other strings that we can create, there's maybe dogs. We can do a bunch of characters there. We can definitely have those special characters inside of a string. We can also have numbers inside of a string. Now, if we did the type of this 10 in quotes, it's not going to necessarily be a number. It will be a string. Because remember, quotes means string.
String. Yep.
So, give me 1 second. John, that's called a parameter. We haven't gone over those yet, but yes, the variables can be parameters, and that could be something that's passed down in an algorithm. So very cool. But anyway, yes, also too. So these are just different versions of strings. And one thing I want to do is just let's look at dogs here. Of course. Oh, I do have a dog example in this one. I said I didn't have one. Dog example. So we're going to create a variable for dogs. We're going to say let my var equal dogs. So I want to point out that creating a variable for a string is nothing different than creating a number. The only thing we use now is those quotes. So this is how we utilize strings. So let's take a quick look at these actual portions here. So I'm going to create a string variable, but I'm going to need your help. So feel free to unmute now, but let me know, how do we start creating a variable?
Let.
There it is. You guys are gonna hate the word let by the end of this. Yes, let. And then someone give me a variable name.
Goku.
Something I can spell.
Yes.
What about doing bar or const instead?
Copy.
My variable.
Yeah,
Copy. All right. You know
Copy.
what? Copy.
I like
Perfect.
Goku.
Oh, coffee. I like that.
Coffee. I do like coffee.
I know. Very good. All right, coffee. And then I'm gonna say this is a string. There we go. And now I'm going to console log it. Coffee.
Coffee.
That's what you have. That's what happens when you have too much coffee. There you go. All right. So right now, what I want to do is point out what's in this console. We see 3 up here, and now this is a string. I can't spell this. It should be this is a string. We have 2 different outputs because I used 2 different console logs. So that is why we're seeing the 3 there, and this is a string. Now, strings and numbers are 2 different types. So one thing I want to do is show you, if you're ever curious about what the type of something is, you can use a different kind of keyword. That keyword is called type of.
Type of.
This will tell you what the type of that variable actually is. You see how it highlights in blue? You see how let is also highlighted in blue. This dictates it is a keyword. It is a very, very special, important word. One more thing to throw out, and this might be a good note to take, is that variables cannot have the names of keywords. I cannot create a variable called let. I cannot create a variable called type of, because those are very important words in our computer language. So just make note of that. Let's go ahead and run this and see what type of does. Now we see that our output has changed from that 3, and this is a string, to number and string, because this is what it's doing. It's printing out the type of those variables. That's what this does. One last thing I want to show everyone about our variables, our variable toolkit that we just did, is that we have been able to create the variables, but we have not yet reassigned them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the type of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this portion up here using Control-C. And I'm going to paste it down here. Now, without editing anything, I'm going to run this, not because it's going to work, but because it's going to actually break. As we see here, this error, it says, let my first num equal 1 on line 6. We see at line 6, why did this break? The answer is because we can't have 2 variables named the same thing. So what we have to do is take out that let. Remember, in a program within this scope of our algorithm, we can't have 2 variables the same. Why? Because picture yourself at a party and you're trying to call to your friend Sarah. And unfortunately, it's very noisy. So if you start yelling the name Sarah, which is a slightly commoner name, commoner, whatever, more common name, more common, you might have a few people turn around. Hence, it's hard to refer to someone by a very common first name. That's why we make sure all of our variables have distinct or unique names assigned to them. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take out all of these lets. Now let's go ahead and look at something, or sorry, one more thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to comment these out. Comments means I'm not going to have the compiler build this or look at it. I don't want them to look at it. So I'm going to run this. What we just saw is 3 and 3 get printed out. This is happening because we have 2 console logs. Here, we're just doing another mathematical operation. We're adding 1 plus 2 once again. And therefore, 1 plus 2 equals 3, and 1 plus 2 equals 3. Nothing's going to change here. But let's shake it up a little bit. let's go ahead and put 10 here and put 20 here instead. Now, who can tell me what my output is going to be on our right-hand screen?
It's still going to show
30.
3, 3.
30. It's gonna show 30.
3 and 30.
I think it's going to show 3, 3.
3 and 30.
3 and 30.
It's going to show
3 and 30.
3 and 30.
3 and 30.
This is because of the concept of reassigning variables. Computers are eco-friendly. They like to recycle, meaning we can reuse our variables. We can reassign them. How are algorithms done? How are our tasks or recipes done? What word have we been using? Sequentially. They start at the top and work their way down. We start up here and we assign my first num to 1, and then my second num to 2. And then the computer will add them. 1 plus 2 is 3. So we print it out to the screen.
3.
We are, again, going sequentially. So the computer goes to line 6. It sees that you want to reassign my first num to 10 and reassign my second num to 20. So this line will be what? What two numbers will they be adding?
10
and 20.
10 and 20.
10 and 20.
10 and 20.
And then reassigning the answer to what number?
30.
30.
To 30. The answer, 10 plus 20, will be assigned to 30. Hence why we see 3 and 30 in our output on the right-hand side. This is a very, very important concept to know. Remember, algorithms go sequentially, one after the other. Starts at the top and works its way to the bottom. No magic in between. This is how our algorithms will work going into the future. So, that being said, these are variables. This is algorithms, this is JavaScript, and welcome to the world of programming. Because what we have now is that we are all done. We've started our journey officially, and you guys now have the tools to start coding yourself if you haven't already, and I'm super excited to see where this takes us. So we are here at time, but I'm happy to take 1 or 2 more questions before I turn you over to our breakout rooms. Remember that we will be meeting back up here at 8 p.m. for our breakouts, or to go over the review of the studio. So feel free to come back there. I do actually encourage everyone to come back just for this studio and maybe the next few, but to go over and review it. So other than that, any final question? Oh, I spoke too soon. Let me see. When you are reassigning, you do not have to assign it with a let. Yes, exactly. Because let is the keyword that tells our computer we're creating a variable. Creating a variable. That's what let does.
I have a question.
Don't use the word let on line 6, 7, and 8 because we're not creating a variable, we're reassigning it. Hence, we use the equal operator here. That's what's happening in this example.
I got a question too.
Yep.
So, why did you skip line 5? So, would you put a note in there like you did on line 11 and 12, or do we skip it so we can start the new algorithm?
No, I just skipped it just to keep it separate so it's easy to view. But you can definitely take that space out.
Okay.
Still works.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question, and I don't, it doesn't really have anything to do with this per se. I'm just saying, where do you see like questions and stuff that people ask? Because I'm not seeing any of that. I don't know if I missed a direction step or what.
So you're going to want to join the channel #lecture-questions on Slack.
Okay.
Yep. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to your TA or me directly, and we can get you into that channel ASAP.
Okay.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud here. So if we don't put let in line 2 and 3, will it still work?
It will not, because we have not created that variable yet. We can't use something that's never been created. So say we just take out these lets here, and we try to
I mean,
run
in
it.
just line 2 and 3, we can still put it in 1.
Oh, okay. Technically, I forgot JavaScript is way too forgiving. Technically, yes, you can. I do not at all recommend that. That will cause problems in the future for everybody.
Oh,
so
okay.
technically this will work because JavaScript is unfortunately forgiving in a lot of ways, but this is not correct and not standard and highly, highly not recommended. So when you are creating your variable for the first time, use the keyword let. So
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, great question.
I just have one quick question.
What's up?
Go ahead. So in the reading, it makes a pretty good point that you should not use var, you use let. Is that just like an etiquette thing, or?
For sure. So let and the keyword we haven't talked about just yet, const, are the two ways to define variables in the newest versions of JavaScript, what you'll be working with. Var is from previous versions. It's much older. So think of var as using a tube TV over let and const using a flat screen TV. Would you rather have a flat screen or would you rather have a tube TV?
Flat. Right, okay. That makes sense.
So on this example, if you were to copy and paste it multiple times and change the variable each time, the computer is just going to keep running in sequentially. So if you were to do it on every time, and then it'll just keep going down and give you the number. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we'll see that here. So just keep doing that. We'll reassign because it's going line by line. I don't exactly, if you want to check that math, I don't want to check all those math because addition is hard, but yes, that is what it's doing.
Hey, Kyle, I think there's a password for class that we have to use for attendance.
Your TA will know the password or whatever. I don't actually take attendance. So your TAs in their breakout rooms will take all of that for you guys. So yeah, that secret code word or whatever, because it's a new system, will be given by your TAs.
I have a question, Kyle.
Yeah, what's up?
So when you declare a variable, is it for like a string or a number? To declare either or, you use the word let?
Correct. It doesn't matter what the data type is. Variables are just happy to be there. So they'll take in any type, whether it be number or string.
Okay.
So great question. All right. Any final questions about our friend variables? All righty. Well, in that case, I am, yeah, that is a good question. Clark, if you're still on the phone, so I'm going to turn it, basically, thank you everybody for coming to the first class. I'm really happy to see everybody. It's been great. I'm loving the energy. Honestly, everyone just seems so happy to be here. So I'm excited for the next one and going through this whole course with you all. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Clark. Do you have any way specific or any kind of list of where the students should be going for their TAs, or should they already know?
It's all on Canvas, but I will show it real quick.
Please.
Give me a second to share my screen. This is a case where, especially with Slack, this is a really good chance to start reading documentation to learn how to do things, because documentation is everything in coding. So I am going to share my screen real quick. So if you go to, give me one moment so I can see this. If you go to the People tab on your learn.launchcode.org, you will see a list of everyone in the class, and it will show you what section you are in. It's going to take a minute to load, but go to the People tab on learn.launchcode.org, find your name, you can search your name, and then you will find